and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you do roll call attendance, Marty, please?
Mary Jo Rosmanowski,
Here.
Mary Jo Radcliffe, Patty Jacobson, Laurel Meek,
Here.
Amy Huffman,
Here.
Nahoma Thundercloud, Scott Barton.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Has the meeting been notified to the public according to open meeting laws?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. We're now at public comment. I don't think we have anybody here for that, so we'll move on. Community engagement, we have one gift to recognize and approve.
Let me just pull it up.
Okay.
We did receive a gift, actually just today, so that's why it wasn't in your packet, but I thought I might as well include it tonight. It's from Mikhail Engebretson, and it is instruments for the high school, $2,500 worth. I don't know why. It's just- So saxophone, alto sax, clarinets, tenor sax, and electric guitar.
We'll put those to good use.
We will make sure that we send
Okay.
a thank you note.
Okay,
to-
is there a motion to approve the gift from Mikkel Ingebretson? Thank you. Laurel? Okay.
I'll second.
Scott, second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Move on to our people. I'm used to heading out the WASB board, and we have to say aye and nay, so I'm sorry. That's okay. I know we're a little bit more informal, but I think we'll stick with it then. Okay, we have some employment recommendations. We have a lot of things going on here.
So we hired Kelly Schrader, speech and language pathologist, Ken Manning, part-time school counselor at Red Creek, Shayla Bluell is the special education aide at middle school, Samantha Olson, choral director, Melanie Floyd is not here this evening, she's the new principal at 4th Street, and James Zawacki, it's actually Jimmy, I think he goes by, is the new assistant principal at Red Creek, and he is also not here this evening. Mr. Chris Dahlheim, however, is here this evening. He is moving from the science teacher position at the high school to the assistant principal position. So
Congratulations.
congratulations,
Thank you.
Chris. Laura Simonson has been selected to be the principal at Red Creek. And Kent Weinman is moving from our maintenance tech person to our building and grounds supervisor. And we also have Janelle Johnson's moving from a special ed aide to a special ed teacher.
Okay. Some good things went on.
Yes.
Okay. I move to approve the employment recommendations as presented. Is there a second? Okay, Amy, second. Any discussion or questions on the new hires? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Student success. We have some guests tonight that will speak on the American Indian Language Revitalization Grant, and we have Jesse, Bonnie, and Adrian tonight. You're up.
And I'll give you a microphone, and it's primarily for the camera so they can hear you. But come on up front here.
I have to use a microphone all the time so the camera can get to
Where
it.
shall I stand? Is there?
This is very informal tonight, so
Stand right
just
back here,
stand so we can just see
Don't
you.
want to stand with my
Yeah.
back to it.
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's great.
Okay, so good evening. Thank you very much for this time this evening. I want to, first of all, express our appreciation for the opportunity to work with the district again and to be able to offer Ho-Chunk in the classroom at the high schools. And then also say thank you publicly to Jesse for the work that's been put into the grant over the years. I think the program is not only good for the students at the high school level, but over time it has strengthened the program for the Ho-Chunk people. All of our language division benefits from what we get from this experience. So again, I want to commend Jesse and then also each of the instructors who worked to make this program what it is today. So I want to say thank you for that. Secondly, I think so opportunities like this and our opportunities for us to work with the school district and the community to bring, this experience into the classroom and to welcome our eminent speakers in as knowledgeable people is also a really good example for our young people to see. And again, I can't express my appreciation enough that this is something that they get to enjoy. It's something that carries forward from traditional teachings, and then to put that in their formal academic setting, I think is something that's really beneficial, not only to the Ho-Chunk students, but I think to the non-native students as well. There's a lot to be gained from this experience as a whole. So I do want to say thank you to the district, and thank you to each of the instructors and the staff and everybody who makes our staff and our students welcome. I appreciate that very much. I don't want to say too much other than that. Just want to say, again, we value this partnership. It's been going on for quite a few years now, not just with this grant, but also the work that happened, with the Title VII group and the community, and some of the things that have happened through the Ho-Chunk Nation Department of Education as well. I think this work here is, it's phenomenal by itself, but also the fact that other districts at that work can partner with Native nations, it's a really good example or a good model for them as well. So I think we all have a lot to be proud of here. So again, thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessie. She's going to talk more specifically about what's in this report. And again, I can't thank her enough for the hard work that she puts into this each and every year, the thoughtfulness and the effort, the expertise, and really bringing together the best of both worlds and trying to make a good educational experience for the students who participate in this. So I'm going to hand it over to her.
Okay, thank you, Adrian.
Hijan Kishna Hinikarigiwi, Horakirenga Hingaire. My name is Jessie Falcon, and I'm with the, is this on?
It's for the
Oh,
camera.
okay.
It doesn't really amplify it.
Yeah, it doesn't amplify within the room, but it gets onto the TV.
Oh, I'm the education coordinator for the language division. I started out in the division 10 years ago as a language apprentice. I was then, I actually taught here in Black River Falls, I think in 2008 or 9, 8 and 9, I believe. And when it was distance learning between Black River Falls and Wisconsin Dells, so I taught the Ho-Chunk language class then. And then in 2014, or I think 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, I was at Toma. And then my sister Bonnie, she started teaching in Toma then, when I became the education coordinator for the language division. So we've been participating in the, or applying for, through the Toma School District for the State of Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction American Indian Revitalization Grant. In Toma, we've been applying and we've received funds since 2010. And actually this past last school year was the first year that we applied as a coalition, a consortium, and where we included Black River Falls and Wisconsin Dells school districts. The opportunity to do this has been really a long time coming for the language division. For those of us who were teaching in the high school, it helped us to standardize the language, standardize what's being taught, and really looking for the benefit of our learners. So for one of the things that we really wanted to do, because we saw students moving from district to district and still signing up for Ho-Chunk, but finding that they were in completely different places. And so our overall goal for the grant is, of course, the proficiency, to assure that all of our students are in the same place in the curriculum at the same time. We've had the curriculum approved since 2010. And so, but maybe not so much streamlined where we were teachers were teaching the same, but in different places of the year. So we had to, that's what we were looking to standardize, to make sure that, if a student comes in first quarter, that they have the same information, and, because we saw that that wasn't happening. So the first goal, of course, was the proficiency. And then we had 3 objectives to accomplish. I'm sorry, I forgot my glasses in the car. So objective 1 is to continue to provide authentic resources in the Ho-Chunk language in the high school. So as you know, the Ho-Chunk language is an indigenous language, and it's been passed down through oral tradition, and we don't have a whole lot, or didn't have a whole lot as far as written or audio recording that's appropriate for the high school age. We actually, one of the goals, one of the deliverables is to provide an eminent speaker of the language in the classroom for each of the high schools. And then we're also updating the textbook to have that in print. Or it's in print already, but to have it bound as a textbook. Objective 2 is to continue to support professional development and facilitate educator effectiveness in the Ho-Chunk classroom. And we did this by providing, funds, or writing in funds in the grant for professional development. And 3 of the 4, is it 3 of the 4? 4, yes, teachers attended the Central States Conference on Teaching Foreign Languages. The Central States Conference on Teaching of Foreign Languages. And this year it was held in Milwaukee. And then the 3rd objective is to collaboratively foster a Ho-Chunk community of speakers for the students by participating in 2 intergenerational community experiences by the end of the current academic year. We've been being in the division for 10 years and seeing really the change of where the language has been. Our students are not using the language outside of the classroom, or haven't been. And because they don't have really a community of speakers in their age. The language is at a place where our Ho-Chunk members who are 70 years old and older, less than half of them consider themselves fluent in the language. And so even people in our generation are all second language learners. Anybody below the age of 70, we consider a second language learner. And so our students, our high school students, which of course who are younger than us as the teachers, are coming in with even far less language than what we had thought that they would. And so we really need to create this community of speakers among the students so that they can use it outside and share, use it with each other. So this was one of the really big, it's one of the really big goals that we have and objectives. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So the project's success. So our primary goal, of course, again, was the proficiency. And we had 90% of the Ho-Chunk 1 students meet the proficiency objective, which is to assess in the novice mid assessment level. I created an assessment tool, an online assessment tool, after the second semester, because the first semester I've done this in Toma, and so I would always just hand correct the assessments because there weren't a whole lot. But then when we added the other 2 school districts, it was taking me days, so I was like, I'm doing this online because this is crazy. It just took a long time, but it's a huge step for the language division that we now have an online assessment tool to assess language proficiency. It doesn't assess the speaking proficiency yet, but we did use Canvas, and because I know that Black River uses that platform, Bonnie taught here in Black River, so she's familiar with that platform also. And I'm not sure if Wisconsin Dells uses that or not, but we did put it on Canvas, and we will be doing the same next year. And hopefully adding the speaking component, because right now we're only able to assess reading comprehension, assessing some vocabulary, and like grammar, sentence structure, you know, that kind of knowledge about the language. So that's what we have for the primary goal. In writing the grant, we also had to establish a couple of different teams. We have the administrative team, and then we have the teacher collaboration team. The administrative team then has had some I don't want to say duties, but they had some objectives to complete. We did 3 surveys. We assessed the students, we assessed the parents of the students, and we assessed the teachers. We're going to use all of that information as we write our next grant objectives. And we got the most parent surveys back. We had 0 last year, but so this year we had a handful or more. I think it was about 9. Maybe I wrote it in here. 12 parents. A majority of the students were completed theirs, and then all of the teachers filled out theirs. The formal teacher observations were completed by all the principals in the school district. And then we also took the professional development reporting forms that like Black River Falls uses, Toma School District uses, and the Wisconsin Dells School District uses, and we put them together to create one that hopefully could suffice all the school districts and the language division. And so then when the teachers came back from professional development, then they were able to use that form. For objective 1 was the authentic resources in the classroom. And we did, through the grant, we wrote in to provide an eminent speaker, and this has been like this in Toma since 2010. So that remained in the grant. So at that time, she was an alternate speaker, and then the grant was supplemental to keep her in the classroom. And that's been written in since. And then also we wrote in to have the textbook that we have professionally bound, and that is actually still out. It was outlined to continue into the summer months because the grant was released so late this past year due to the state budget not being approved until October. Then we applied, and I'm sure this was with a lot of other grants too, but it wasn't announced until into February. So we had like a very, very short window of time to get these objectives done, but it happened. Objective 2 was to have all 4 of the teachers attend professional development, and as I stated, 3 of the teachers were able to. One just had scheduling conflicts and wasn't able to utilize those funds. Those funds, however, we put into the community of speakers line item so that it could still be utilized. And we wrote in funds to enhance the learning environments. And actually, Black River, we really wanted to do something about the classroom here because there's a lot of students in the classroom and it's a really small classroom. And so we did order a table for that, and Black River actually matched the same table and chairs to match it. So those tables can seat 18 learners. And then all the others, the Toma and Wisconsin Dells and Black River also had funding for alternative seating, other alternative seating that they needed, or a lot of them went to cabinet or shelving because they share a classroom, I think in Wisconsin Dells, so a place to have their own, to store their own items. And then activity or objective 3, we had creating the community of speakers. We have done a Ho-Chunk language baseball event, and it's a language event that's it's a game played similar, using baseball rules. And we've participated in this since, I think we've been doing it since 2008 or 2009. I think it was 2009. And so this year, and we've had a traveling trophy going around with this, and we've, in the past, we've had Nakusa participate. They had a immersion, was it immersion? A charter school. And so those students participated in this event before. We've also participated with Winnebago, Nebraska. Black River High School, when I was here, we went to Nebraska to participate. And then they came up here years later too. So that was in the early days that's how that worked. But this year, Ho-Chunk 1 was held in Black River Falls, and Black River Falls won that trophy. So that was awesome. And then Ho-Chunk 2 was held in Wisconsin Dells, and Toma won that trophy, which was a big upset for Wisconsin Dells because they had both trophies last year. But the Ho-Chunk language baseball event really came from Wisconsin Dells and Black River Falls back in those early days, because it was through distance learning. And so having this language baseball event brought the two district students together so that they could interact with them in person, because every day they were seeing, their classmates on TV, but they never got to see them in person. So that's really, kind of where the start of that came from. And so it's really evolved, and it's really nice it's fun to see the learners, at least they get to see other Ho-Chunk language learners from other communities, and hopefully if they see them, outside of school, that they're able to, greet one another, or, we address them all by their Ho-Chunk names in class, and, even if they're just doing that is really great. And then we have there are other community or culture to create the community of speakers. We do other Ho-Chunk culture projects as a part of this, the second part of Objective 3, where they can bring in speakers, other speakers, or they can take them out to do like a cultural event. Toma went to a maple sugar camp that was in Toma, and the eminent speaker there, there was the first language speaker there, was teaching them words, and they were able to write books. They wrote books and using pictures from that day, and they wrote their books in Ho-Chunk about, the maple sugar syrup making. I'm sorry, maple syrup making. And then those are what the objectives were, and I didn't want to take up too much more time. We did have some unexpected events, and the impact of those are in here, and then, how we're going to remedy those is also in here. We did learn lessons, of course, our first time, doing this with the 3 districts, and we just can get better. I don't know if, Hadakwani, did you want to add anything?
Do we know about how many students in Black River take Ho-Chunk?
I want to say last year in Ho-Chunk 1 there was 28 students that I taught. This year I want to say, I thought I heard them say 26 students signed up for Ho-Chunk 1. Not everybody goes on to the second year, but I want to say most of them kind of hang out and stick it out for Ho-Chunk 2. So I'm not sure what that
So are you trying to teach them all in one class period, or is that in a couple?
No,
class periods?
I know in Black River, and I'm pretty sure they did the same thing this year too, because of the size of the classroom, they broke Ho-Chunk 1 into 2 sections.
Okay.
I think like on the A day, and then on the B days, they have the Ho-Chunk 2 and then the Ho-Chunk 3 class.
You concentrated a lot on the high school classes, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on at the elementary level. Is that part of the grant as well? Or you're just talking about the high school credit classes that you're
We are only, right now, we only have the teachers to teach at the high school level.
I just know they're teaching words and, trying to keep. And then how
Yes.
about after high school? Is there anything within the technical colleges that you know of that they can continue on? to
Just
learn
UW-Madison offers Ho-Chunk language. I'm not sure if it's for credit.
It is for, it can be for elective credit, but there's like an extra process they have to go through to get it counted. So it's not formally part of,
Okay.
it hasn't been approved by a committee, for
Okay.
example. So, but, that could be done a little bit too.
Yeah, thank you.
That's as far as formal education, but the language division does have, Bonnie is my sister. But we do have like a Quizlet for adult learners, and the language division is also, we're working on trying to, get the word out about the resources that we have available online. We also have an adult language program, the Language Apprentice program, the Language Apprentice program, is for adults. So there are, different opportunities, and there are more coming. And yes, and the online, the Ho-Chunk Academy, which is another program in the language division, they have an online pathway program where they monitor the students, and they have, it's kind of a hybrid class, like, online and part traditional, like they meet once a week, I think, but a majority of it is online.
Well, you've certainly created groundbreaking work, and that will affect generations to come. And I thank you so much for the passion that you've put into this, too, and the success. And it's awesome to hear. Thank you so very much. We don't have a reporter here tonight, but if the Banner Journal wants to report further on your report, she should contact you. Is that okay?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Or, okay.
Thank you for including us in the grant this year.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and the grant was actually just announced yesterday, so we will be writing again for the upcoming school year.
Okay.
And that is due on August 15th, so yay, we will have the full school year.
Yeah, well, you certainly have our support, and anything that we can do, let us know. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Jesse, and thank you, Bonnie and Adrienne. Thank you. So Mr. Chambers isn't here for lunch and learn update.
Table that
Okay.
until August.
Okay, we'll table lunch and learn then.
Yes.
We'll move on to finance and facilities. You received the monthly expenditures in your packet. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull out for discussion or questions? Okay, no questions. Is there a motion to approve the monthly expenditures?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, guys. Okay. Move on to our policy committee report. Last month, we had the first reading of several policies. We didn't receive any comments or questions through the month of any additions or anything being changed on there. Does anyone want any of them pulled out for discussion or further clarification? As you remember, we tabled the one policy back to policy committee about the textbooks and stuff. Okay, I'll remember that. Okay. So since there's no questions, let's just go with a consent agenda to approve the second reading of the policies that we looked at last month. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the second reading of the policies as listed.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And then we'll have a discussion about our budget revisions, and Jill will walk us through that.
So every year, we have to true up our accounts so that they match budgeted amounts. The biggest piece of all of these this month, or this time, this year, is that we intentionally wanted to dip into fund balance to spend out on that Upper 90 project that the board approved a couple of months ago. And in order to do that, your expenditures have to be higher than your revenues in order to dip into the fund balance. So the difference between these two amounts is a little over $260,000, or about $260,000. And so that was the amount that we are going to be using to fund the Upper 90, part of the Upper 90 project. That's basically all the light fixtures. We did receive those in June, so that worked out well. So part of it's coming out of 17-18, and then part of that project will come out of 18-19. A lot of the other items are listed in the details. I'd be happy to answer any other questions, but a lot of times it's grants being approved, it's carryover amounts changing slightly. We also did a deposit into our Fund 46, our capital maintenance, Trust Fund 46, I'm trying to think of the right word, if it's called Capital Projects Fund, I guess. And that is that money that we had to set aside for 5 years from the time we opened it, and then we can use those funds down the road. We're unable to use those funds until December of 2019, but we are growing that balance so that we would have that for any kind of significant project, things like that in the future. And anything that we put into that Fund 46, we do get equalization aid on. So that's the benefit of doing that too, is that you increase your aid. So we were trying to spend our budget as close as we could, and we needed to make some of these adjustments in order to do that. Are there any questions on any of it?
This is an unrelated question to what you're listed, but I had asked you about the safety grant status. Do you expect to get the amount that you applied for?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's going to be hard to complete that by this summer if they don't get on the ball and get it.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're making it a little tougher to
Yeah.
get some of that stuff done when we don't have students in place. We expect to get just over $80,000, basically the $20,000 per school. And then also we wrote for some additional smaller things as well.
Okay.
But we received contact from the state on that grant, and we had to provide some more information. So Shelley and I had to give them some more details on a couple of things they were asking about security cameras and what our intention was on this total budget of $15,000. How did you plan to spend that and on what? And so we did that. So hopefully we'll hear soon.
Yeah, I keep looking for our name in the TV.
I know. I hope I hear it before the TV hears.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Jill's always so complete and easy to understand how she explains things. Any questions? Okay, we need a motion to approve the budget revisions presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Laurel.
Second.
Amy, okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Revised budget.
Thank you.
Go on to reports. We have meeting minutes that were in your packet for approval. Does anyone have any changes or want any brought out for discussion? Okay. I move to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Now we'll move on to Jill's report.
Okay, just a couple of things. I just wanted to let everybody know that the board development session will be August 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30. I know that did not work for everybody, but that was the date that had the most people that could attend, so.
And there was a doodle poll sent out on that, and you just have to click yes, so it respond back, so Marty can get a count on that too.
Oh, you sent out a doodle poll on the.
No, it was
Shelley did.
a confirmation on the meeting,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Attendance.
The invite.
A yes,
This
no, or
afternoon,
maybe.
I sent out a calendar invite.
Okay, that's what it
Calendar
was.
invite.
Okay, I'm sorry, it
Yeah.
wasn't a doodle-poll.
Right.
Thank you.
So if you have any questions about that, you can contact Marty or Shelley on that as well. The audit, our auditors are here this week. They started this morning and they'll be here through Wednesday for sure, if not Thursday. So we are pulling files out and pulling documentation out and at their every whim. So we are making them as happy as they can be while they're here, so. It's usually a pretty painless experience, except that they do change the kinds of things that they check on every year, so that always, oh, you want that, so then we gotta go find that, but it's usually a pretty painless process, but of course, you're always a little bit nerved up while it's happening.
Yeah.
So,
Especially your department. yeah.
especially my department, right? Just a project update, we have started the Upper 90 project. Greg Bush has been installing, Greg Bush and his crew, not just Greg, have been installing the light fixtures. They are just about done with the high school, so they are making some really good headway. We also have a major tech ed project that's going on at the middle school. We were able to make the classroom space in the tech ed space at the middle school a little bit larger. We were able to do that because, I don't know if you've been there, there's 3 sections to the tech ed lab. There's a classroom section, and off of that there are several small rooms. I think back in the day they thought maybe we needed a dark room and maybe we needed a communications room, and they were set up storage. They were just set up for different purposes, but we don't use them that way. So it made more sense to knock those walls down. They're not load bearing, knock it down and make a larger classroom space, because this classroom space was pretty cramped. And then they have where all the equipment is in the middle, and then on the far end, that was an addition later on, there's a big computer lab back there as well. So we're doing some work in both the classroom and the computer lab and bringing those up to date. They have not been touched since 1992. So it's kind of an extensive project that will be a really nice update to that area as well. We have a lot of other things going on. We're doing some seal coating at the high school in Red Creek. Just tons of projects. Doors at the high school are being sandblasted and repainted because we didn't really need to replace the doors. We just needed to repaint them and make them look a little bit better. We have some window replacement that's going to happen, just tons of lighting and carpet and ceiling tiles and things like that. So part of the lighting project, we're also upgrading the fixtures in the high school LMC, the middle school choir room, and the middle school band room. They were all out of date and not really aesthetically as nice, and also they had kind of their light was pretty narrow. It would come down and not really spread out, so it'll be a better situation with the new pendants that we're getting for those spaces, plus they'll look better as well. So that was part of that whole lighting project. So we are keeping Kent and the whole summer crew busy. They're really doing a good job at cleaning. We've done a lot of touch-up painting at Red Creek, for example. A lot of those hallway walls were white, but you can imagine 500 little hands going down them every day. They don't stay very white. So we decided to do kind of like what's here, do like a wainscoting with gray paint so that they look cleaner longer, I guess, and we're able to touch those up in the future as well. So the other thing I wanted to note is that it was in the package, just noted that from July 30th through August 3rd, the American Indian Summer Institute will be hosted in Black River Falls at Red Creek Elementary. We're pretty excited about that. At the last time I saw the registration, there were almost 100 people registered. This was a few weeks ago as well. So that
We'll
will
get a lot
be-
of people coming into town then for that, because
We're getting a lot of people coming in from town. We do have a lot of our own
Yeah,
staff attending
yes,
as well,
yes.
but what a neat thing that we're able to host that at our own facility. So
Awesome.
that's all I had.
Okay, should we open it up to the administrators that are here? Dave, do you have anything?
No, like Jill had mentioned, at the middle school, just improvements going on. The tech ed room is going to be quite a wonderful space once that's done. A lot of small rooms like Jill had mentioned. One that comes to mind, they used to do voice recording, like commercials or something, in one of these sound rooms in the back of the tech ed room, and then they did some videotaping, they had a videotaping room, and a lot of that stuff has gone by the wayside, so a lot of wasted space back there, but it's really starting to come along, so it's neat to see those improvements and the painting going on. LGI got painted this summer. We had 2 new hires at the middle school, Shayla Bluell and Janelle Johnson, so we're excited to welcome new staff on board. And other than that, and the bleachers are scheduled to be fixed this summer. The middle school bleachers in the gym are in pretty bad shape. They don't pull out very well. It's quite a feat to get those pulled out.
Physical education just for that, huh?
And all school assemblies. So,
Okay.
other than that, knock on wood, pretty quiet.
Well, the other community event, I guess that you would call it, that we are hosting there is a bike ride that's coming through Black River Falls. It's not as big as the one others might remember from years ago that was pretty large on the south lawn at the high school. There's about 75 to 100 participants, I think, in this ride, and it's a loop from Sparta to Black River to La Crosse back to Sparta. Black River Falls is going to be one of the stays. They'll stay overnight at the middle school in the gym. Some will also pitch tents in the back behind the middle school. They're going to use our showers and things like that, but we're also a layover stop, so then they are here in town for one of the days as well, and so they'll be out in the community eating and...
I think it's called Bike Wisconsin.
Bike Wisconsin.
Is the name of the organization.
Yep.
If you want to Google it, it's a pretty big organization, and Jill and I have been working with this gentleman named Rob. I can't remember his last name, but he's been doing a lot of coordination and already got his check turned in, paid for the fees for the stay, and so that's coming up August, I think 6, 7, 8.
Yes. The chamber had reached out to us initially wondering if we would be willing to do that. So.
And you had hosted the summer swim lessons at the pool at the middle school as well?
Yeah, the second session now started, so that area, that side of the building's pretty busy. Lots of traffic down there, lots of kids coming in and out with parents, so it's good to see the facilities being used. And but by the time we meet again in August, the 5th, 6th grade transitions class will have met, and that is Monday, August 6, 7, and 8, no, 7, 8, 9, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that's good to see the incoming 6th graders get a taste of the building in a very non-threatening environment where they get to set up their lockers and walk through their schedule and do a scavenger hunt, get their assignment notebooks. So that's exciting to see too. That's right around the corner. Oh, and I think all of us, every year we say this, how shocked they start back to school specials. I saw 2 weeks ago there were some advertisements out, and at least by last Monday or Tuesday, Walmart had their things out there, their displays set up, so we have copies made of the middle school supplies, and I'm sure elementaries do too. We take them out there so parents can access those.
Well, is it August 1st is a tax-free day for school
August 1st or
clothes
August
and
5th?
school supplies? Oh,
I
some-
can't remember, something
Okay.
like that though.
It's like 3 days, I think.
Is it 3 days? Oh, awesome.
And like clothing too, isn't it?
Yeah, clothing and...
Yeah.
Okay.
No sales.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Stallheim, do you want to say anything about your new position and your new start, or share a little bit about yourself?
I'm excited for the opportunity, and I'd like to say thank you to everybody for that. It's only been a couple days on the job, so I'm sorry I don't have really anything new to present today. We are excited though. First day on the job was interviewing for my replacement. We're excited about the teacher that we've asked to come. I would assume that's next month for
Right.
all that.
Unless they have it at their board development session, probably, to get it approved earlier.
We're very excited.
Okay.
She's experienced and all that, so that's
Well,
where we're at.
being that you're in charge of discipline, we're glad you don't have much to report this your first couple days.
Yes,
So
it's been
thank
just so far.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome. Okay, thanks. Okay, we'll move on for Wisconsin Association of School Board. I just attended the leadership conference in Green Bay, and they had one day completely dedicated to school safety. And it was one of the biggest conference attendance that we've ever had. We had a lot of administrators plus board members, and it was very, very successful. One session in particular that stood out to me was the Green Bay Police volunteered to come in and share their experience as a collaborative partner with the schools, and it's so similar to what we have done and are doing, and it just, there's a lot of different things to consider, and I'm sure that the law enforcement are on board, but you know, when you go on lockdown, how do the police get in, you know, and stuff like that, and you put those screens on your windows, and how do the police break the windows, and either, you know, just the kinds of things that you have to consider when you're planning for the safety, and it was, yeah, it was a good conference. And I'll be attending the Chicago Leadership Conference for the Wisconsin Association representative in August. Anything else? Have you been to anything, Nihoma? You always are on the run with things.
I was on the run, that's right. I'm sorry I was late tonight.
Okay.
Last week, the nation and the school district collaborated for a math camp. So we had, we had about 14 students for the week. They had a lot of fun. We had a younger group and an older group. Two of the four teachers were there. Just really successful, and I was excited that they made it through the whole week. So we had an incentive thing for Friday, and I was like, well, how many are going to make it? But they all did, so they had a lot of fun. We're talking with them Friday and saying, what did you learn? They were talking about everything but math, but like robots and like all this other stuff. So that was really fun for them. So next year we're talking with the planners, and we're hoping to open it for this entire district.
Okay.
So not just the Hojo students.
Sounds great.
So yeah, there was a lot of good things learned, and we'll make it better.
Thank you. Any future agenda items anyone wishes to address? Well, for sure the safety grant. We got to learn about by next month. Let's get that going. Okay. Okay, I think this is a record, you guys. It's 10-7. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say yeah, aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Meeting is concluded. Thank you. Yeah, the